music teacher here in Brownsville, and she's been doing weekly lessons, voice lessons, and then has written a great paper on these songs, and then is going to present them. All right.
Okay, welcome everybody. I'd like to start off by telling you a little bit about our character Ophelia. She comes from the play Hamlet by Shakespeare. Ophelia is the daughter of Polonius, the Lord Chamberlain, and she is the sister to the character Laertes. So she is a wealthy character. She is used by her father in a plot to spy on the young and at this point unstable Hamlet, who, when he discovers her dishonesty, threatens her chastity. And he tells her to go to a nunnery, which is something that he would not tell to a young maid. And through the course of the play, Hamlet also accidentally kills her father. So he thinks it's his uncle who he suspects has killed his father. So the plot thickens. After the death of her father, Ophelia goes completely mad and drowns in the river. Since her debut in Hamlet, Ophelia has become an iconic symbol for the fragility of adolescent women in, all walks of life, and she's been the muse for many artists in their study of the dark subject matter of insanity and death. This has been said, or this was said of Ophelia. This is the scene just before she enters in the play when she has gone completely mad. It says, she is importune, indeed distract. She speaks much of her father, says she hears there's tricks in the world, and hems and beats her heart, spurns enviously at straws, speaks things in doubt that carry but half sense. Her speech is nothing, yet the unshaped use of it doth move the hearers to collection. They aim at it and botch the words up to fit their own thoughts, which, as her winks and nods and gestures yield them, indeed would make one think there might be thought, though nothing sure, yet much unhappily. And so that kind of gives you an idea of her state of mind as she is at this point after the death of her father. Then I went ahead and I looked into how actresses have looked at how you would play the character of Ophelia. And Jeremy Lopez, this is my favorite quote of what he said. Come on. He said, "It is remarkable that in a play that is very explicitly about acting, a play in which virtually all of the other characters seek to achieve their ends by role-playing, Ophelia is understood by both critics and practitioners not to be playing a role. Perhaps the most important story we tell ourselves about both the actress and the character of Ophelia is that when she is mad, she is not acting." And it's something that I found in my research is that everywhere you see that when people are trying to act insanity, you can't really act that. Is that you kind of have to find that in yourself and kind of touch that psychology and really kind of be insane to get that out of yourself. So I really liked that quote. And then that takes me to the Ophelia Leider. This was composed in November 1873 for the German language production of Hamlet in Prague at the request of renowned Shakespearean actor Joseph Lewinsky by Johannes Brahms. The cycle was originally composed without accompaniment, and the texts were taken from Ophelia's songs in the play Hamlet, Act 4, Scene 5. all of the 5 songs. None of the songs are written exactly the same, but there is a very clear emotional progression throughout the cycle, and we're going to take a look at each one individually. The first song speaks first of her confusion over Hamlet turning her away, because in the play they start out kind of close and they're in love, and then all of a sudden he sort of banishes her away from her and tells her, "Get thee to a nunnery." And so he kind of talks about her confusion over this, and then the second verse switches to her grief over the loss of her father. The meter alternates from simple 4/4 to simple 6/4, goes back and forth. It has no introduction or postlude, again, the folk song style. It's in B flat minor, and it has a distinct pull towards the major dominant in the middle of each phrase. It has a 5/5 pull to 5 before it settles back to the minor tonic. And of course the final cadence in the melody moves in an upward interval. Added this to the major chord progression, the pull to the major chord progression. This kind of gives the feeling for the character that she's not quite given up hope yet. She's still kind of trying to rise above her current state of grief. The second song is the shortest of the 5, and it's talking about her father's burial. It's in a moderate 3/4 meter, has no introduction or postlude again. The melody alternates between these bouncing dotted 8/16 passages that rise and fall, and then in F major, and then we have the graceful legato straight 8th note lines that are in D minor, and it alternates back and forth between these. And I think that these express that Ophelia was both kind of angered and saddened by seeing her father in his burial shroud. Then we have the third song, and this one is talking about a maid sneaking into her Valentine's window and forfeiting her virginity, and then she refusing to marry the man for coming to her bed. A complete switch from the first 2 songs. This is a very bold and shocking speech for a girl of her station at court. It is the longest of the 5, with 4 strophic verses, all in B flat major. It's the only one that's all in a major key. And it's the only one that has a brief introduction. None of the other ones had that one. And the accompaniment is a rolling 6/8 compound time, perhaps expressing the risque subject matter that we're getting into here. The 4th song is the most dramatic of it. It has these chromatic outbursts when she's singing about her father's funeral. She's humming to herself. She says, "Hey, non, nani." In German, it's Leider, Leider. And it just sudden outbursts right there. It's in a compound 6/8 meter, and it utilizes a mix of A flat major and the relative minor, kind of showing again that conflict in the emotional state. At the very end, she has a very sudden shift of subjects to her bonny sweet Robin, who brings her joy. And in the story, her brother Laertes and her were very close, and so I think that this is her thinking of her brother, who still brings her joy. And it has a very short and sweet little postlude. It's the only one that has that postlude. The last song, the 5th one, speaks of Ophelia finally coming to terms with the fact that her father is gone. It's in a compound 6/4 meter. It's in F minor throughout, no changes, with 2 strophic verses, and has no introduction or postlude again. The text repeats itself when she asks, "And will he not come again?" And the way that Brahms chose to have the melody repeated exactly kind of emphasizes the frantic nature of it. Like, she's saying, "Will he not come again? Will he not come again?" I think she's repeating it. Brahms continues to portray this grief by breaking up the contour of the melody with large leaps and chromaticism, and where the final note at the end of the first song rose up, at the end of this one it firmly plants itself down. So she's finally done. And of course at the end of this she is found dead in the river. So that's Ophelia. And that takes us to our music. Throughout each of these, you're going to see the German on one side and the English over here. I chose a quote either by Ophelia or about her, and a work that was inspired by her.
Yeah.